one of your former teams that's having another fun season, the Baltimore Orioles. What do you thought of their success so far and the baseball culture over there in Baltimore, even if they don't make the playoffs this season?
Yeah, they're not going to now. I think at this point they're 5.5 out, and it was never expected, right? And so the trading of Trey Mancini and obviously Lopez, that was a big deal. And I think you get rid of those guys because they're still trying to build for the future. I don't think the future's even next year in their vision. I think it was 2 years away. And so you get rid of those two guys, but the unexpected season that they had, at that point, I was like, well, maybe you keep those two guys. Like, talk about a veteran presence in a locker room. A guy fought cancer and beat it. Like, they rally around that man. He's a Baltimore legend. I think if they kept him, they probably would have made the postseason, my opinion. It's really good. Gunnar Henderson, like, these guys are obviously really good. Ali Rushman, what he does, like, you throw a strike and he starts giving you this behind the plate and makes you feel good about yourself on the mound. It's changed the game. It shows you, and the Phillies did it a couple of years ago, it shows you how hard it is to finish a baseball season, right? Any one of us, we're super excited to get back to spring training. We're super excited to start a season. Listen, we show up to that, Speedy, that picture behind you that we're looking at, Citi Field. We get super excited. And then all of a sudden it goes cold, hot, hot, hot. We get tired, fatigue, travel, and we don't know how to finish a season. And when you're young, you have no idea. You don't know when to back off. You don't know how to do anything. They're so young and lost the veteran presence that they're showing, the fatigue aspect now. Like, these games that they were winning, they're no longer winning in September. They started to lose late in August. And so I think when they go back to the drawing board, they're pleased with this season. But I think that they had it in their hands and let it go, personally. They were like 2 out at one point. No, they were in at one point.
They were in at one point. The Rays were out of it. The Rays were out of the playoff spot until they got hot in August.
And then so it goes that, right? Toronto was scuffling, right? So I think Toronto was on the cusp for a minute. But then look what they got. They got Gosman, right? And they got Berrios, right? And they have Manoah, who's been great. But they have veteran guys leading these young guys. Yusei Kikuchi's now in the pen, but still a veteran president. Like, they had a lot of veteran guys that, like, know how to finish. And so we're seeing the separation in September. It's a pretty big deal, man. And so, again, being an Oriole fan, having them brought me in the game, like, I was happy to see it, but I still have a lot of question marks, man, because they have this massive amount of talent and they're all coming right now. And so what's the long-term plan? Because everybody's going to have to get paid at the same time.
And that's the big problem right now with
huge.
Yeah, with the way baseball is working and the new CBA rules, and that's why Aaron Judge, a lot of people think, could maybe not be a Yankee in the offseason because of the money he's going to be expecting. And the Yankees aren't going to give him more than 7 years. We've seen that.
He's 31 years old, dude.
Yeah.
How much can you really give him?
Yeah.
That's why I thought turning down 230 was crazy. Like, he's going to get the same contract.
Well, I think a team like San Francisco is going to overpay him. They're going to give him somewhere between $45 and $50 million a year, especially what he's having this year.
Why San Francisco?
Because it seems like that's, being that it's his hometown, this is the team that he rooted for when he was a kid. I think San Francisco opened up a lot of salary room for him in the offseason. I've heard through the grapevine that they're going to make a huge push for him. Even the Red Sox, I heard, is going to make a huge push for him. The question is, are the Yankees going to let those two teams outbid them for their player? That's the question. And it's never happened before. The Yankees have, besides Robinson Cano, and everybody brings up Robinson Cano, and they let, because that was all the Jay-Z thing, the whole Rockefeller thing. Jay-Z was not going to let the Yankees get the contract that they wanted. They offered him 190. Seattle offered him 220. He took the 220. I think that if Jay-Z wasn't involved with that, I believe Robinson Cano would have been a Yankee. With this,
hindsight, too, I think he actually made less than 190 in hindsight after everything that happened. Right?
I think so, too. Yes.
Brian Cashman, I mean, listen, everybody has a plan. We have a budget. We have people in the offices, team presidents, whatever. People are just money's their thing, right? And we have to stick to things, and sometimes we can bend the rules a little bit. He offered him what he can offer him. And listen, this season does nothing to Brian Cashman and the Yankees to say Aaron Judge is they know he's a pretty good player. He was a pretty good player before this. This does nothing to, we already knew we had this guy. We already knew this, right? So we offered him what we thought was fair for what we can do. And so they're not going to go all of a sudden go, all right, I'll give you 270, I'll give you 300. That's not going to happen. I'll tell you what might happen. Again, Speedy, the pitcher behind your head, that dude will fork out some money over there at Citi Field, right? That dude will pay. Steve Cohen's not afraid to play. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up across the street.
That would be quite a record-setting payroll if they somehow pull that off.
be sell out every day.
Oh,
over there.
100%.
Back in seconds.
But I don't know if the Yankees are going to allow that.
Right.
I don't.
Well, then
I
I guess
you
you might have to pay Jacob deGrom too, or let him go. Right, pick and poison.
Yeah, it might be a weird like hypothetical swap.
A lot of
we've heard Jacob deGrom
Yeah.
like earlier this season linked to the Yankees if the Mets let him go.
No,
too.
I also heard that Jacob deGrom doesn't want to play in New York anymore. I've heard that Atlanta is a place that his family, his wife, would like to move to. That was the story. And here's another story. Why wouldn't Houston, being that they're the team that always brings in these veteran, pitchers, top pitchers, a.k.a. Garrett Cole, they made a trade for him. They brought in Verlander. Why wouldn't they make a move? They have a great farm system,
It's uncomparable, right? Garrett Cole was in Pittsburgh. He really hadn't got paid yet. He wasn't making any money yet, right? So the Yankees gave him his contract of $400 million.
Right.
JV was making pretty good money, but it was an easy pickup for them because people were nervous about him and where he was in his career, right? So you're talking about bringing in Jacob deGrom, and you're going to have to pay him. You just paid Scherzer $40 million or whatever, you max $45 million. I don't know what you gave him. That just set the tone for the greatest player in our game. And what are you going to give? $50 million? Like, no one who can afford that.
Yeah, it's going to be.
So like, Houston's not going to. They're again. That's why I tell you, Houston's the best team in baseball. Their lineup 1 to 9 is loaded, very consistent, and their pitching staff is the most consistent, also with playoff experience. And they're very, very young. Like, they don't have to go get a guy like him. And then that kid they just brought up that mimics Justin Verlander's delivery to a T.
Yeah, Brown. Yeah,
pretty legit too.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and they do a great job of developing. Right, so I don't think that's in play for them. Atlanta does need some pitching, but again, who's willing to pay the money?
Yeah, I think both those organizations too. They haven't made like the huge splashes where it comes to like these massive contracts. The Braves have done a brilliant job with paying the players young and making it work for team control too. And like the Astros, like you were mentioning too, Garrett Cole was a trade. Justin Verlander was a trade trying to rebirth them type of thing. So yeah, I could see that. So my question is more when it comes to Aaron Judge's overall value, like the lengthwise and the overall money. Like you said, now you don't think he's going to get the massive raise like you thought. Like a lot of people think get the $300 million. What about years wise? Can you see him still getting a larger contract, like the 10-year deal he wants, or you think it'll be capped out something around like 5 or 6?
No, because we got to go look at Albert Pujols. We got to look at Miguel Cabrera. We have to look at ages, right? I mean, the only one who's really hit in our game past 40 is Nelson Cruz. So it's tough because you're comparing them again. That's why I'm getting paid on what I did in the past, but I'm also getting paid off of, or the lack thereof, of what other people did in these comparison binders that my agents show up with. And if he's 31, I don't know if he starts the season at 32. I mean, we're looking at 8-year max, and that's being very generous. I think we're looking at more of a 7-year deal, like Freddie Freeman. I forgot who else got it. I think we're looking more in that era. And so what, like, again, now $40 million at 7 years. I mean, it's like, that's a tough pill to swallow. Look at Mike Trout. Again, he has a massive contract. He's still an amazing player, but he can't stay healthy, and I got to factor that in as well. Like, there's so many question marks, and that's why I don't understand what Paige Odell and Aaron were doing in the offseason. I hope it works out. I like to see everybody get paid, man. I'm a big fan of that, but I hope they know what they're doing because they turned down, like, annual salary and years-wise, they turned down a very good deal. But again, look what Aaron did. He went and backed it up, so maybe somebody falls for it.
Well, Aaron's right now 30 years old. In April of next year, he'll be 31. So next year, he'll be 31 years old. So maybe you sign him 7 years. I think that's what the Yankees – maybe they raise the salary up for the first 5 years and give him $45 million a year to make him happy. I don't know what they're going to do. But this is a big year, a Triple Crown. If he wins the Triple Crown and he breaks the home run record. And I know you said Barry Bonds broke the record, but everybody's going to look at, the steroid era. I think
Mark McGwire broke it too.
Oh, 100%. And I've always said this, and I'll say it again. Speedy will tell you. For the last 4 years, when I hear steroids, I think steroids should be allowed in professional sports because
listen, I'm in. I played in the era. I'm in.
I think it should. I think it should because it heals you quicker and it keeps those guys on the field. The only sport that I think that it should not be allowed is combat sports, boxing, MMA, because you can kill somebody doing that. Yeah. But every other sport, if you want to do steroids, you want to mess up your body, that's your decision. That's it. It didn't make Barry Bonds see the ball more. Maybe it gave him a little more power. Does anybody think Barry Bonds wouldn't have been one of the greatest players of all time? He was the greatest player of all time. 400 home runs, 400 stolen bases before he even went to San Francisco.
Right. Listen, steroids don't like you said, maybe keep you a little healthier during the season, maybe make you feel a little stronger, whatever. Listen, I gave up home runs to Sammy Sosa when he was an Oriole, man, in Toronto. I hung this slider that just spins, and he hit in the second deck, and he was probably the worst hitter in the game, right? His cork bats and steroids had nothing to do with why he hit a home run. Jammed Dante Bichette, and he flew out to left field and thought he hit it 10 rows deep and forgot he wasn't in Colorado, right? Like, if you make mistakes, they're going to hit bombs. I don't care who they are. Steroids didn't do anything to help these guys, like, get better. Like, they didn't take the ball better. They didn't see the ball better. They didn't. If I made a good pitch, it didn't matter what you took. I could care less about it. That's why I think it's kind of foolish in our game. Like, it doesn't do anything like to really jeopardize anything or change the stats or I don't know, man. I'm going to take it. I don't care. I agree with you in combat sports though. Like, I mean, you're talking about punching somebody in their face. Yeah, you can rearrange.
You could kill somebody. You could absolutely kill somebody, and I think steroids should not be allowed in that. But in any of
throw harder either, by the way.
No, and I was also
they're throwing 105 now, and they can't take anything.
I'm also a pure. I've been pushing that the college players should make money. I've been doing that for years. I've been pushing it for years, and now all of a sudden they're starting to do that, and everybody says you've been saying this for years, Errol, and I think it's fair. You coaches. Yeah. These schools are. I'll explain why. I know you're probably questioning it. Here's why I think college sports should allow these players to get paid. These coaches are making millions and millions of dollars. Okay, they're making millions off of, obviously recruiting you, bringing you to the team. These guys, especially in football, these guys are playing what? 2 years, and then they're going into the NFL draft. They can't even finish their college education, and if they want to go back to college, they got to pay out of their own pocket. That's one. You're giving them a full scholarship. If they don't stay there, they cannot finish the college scholarship with that scholarship that they were offered when they were there. That's one. Number two, when you're bringing them in, you're necessarily trying to get them into a ball game. Like in college football, if you play in a ball game, that school is making between $20 and $30 million off that ball game. Where's that money going? Where's that going? That money going? Is it going into, I don't know, the school?
It's going on. Let's go to $250,000 Cooper Manning trips or whatever his name is.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's where it's going, right?
Yeah,
I mean, look at the upkeep on all this stuff. Look what Jackson State's doing, right? I mean, look at these clubhouses.
Yeah.
Look at you're paying your. Listen, I feel what you're saying on one side, but on the other side, like, how many people out there have student loan debt that they went to college for, right? And they had to apply to get in, and it was a hassle. Maybe didn't get in their favorite school, and then next thing you know, you're paying $40,000, $50,000, $70,000 to go to school for a year, and you got this massive. And like, so what's in it for them? Right?
Well,
they spend the money to still have to go to football games and buy all this stuff that's making all, like, what's in it for them, right? So I'm giving you a scholarship to come play a sport. You have with an opportunity to go to professional football or baseball, whatever it is. I don't think paying athletes at a young age. I think baseball has a great thing when you have to be 6 years into year before you hit free agency. I think you have to prove yourself, right? You have to put some longevity in and show me a little character about who you are and consistency about who you are as a person. I think that's a big factor. You start giving these kids massive amount of money, and we're going to watch it with the NIL deals. You start giving these kids massive amount of money, and they're going to go left and right on you, man. You're going to have, they're going to no-show you. Like, I don't know, man. Like, everybody's different, but I think it's an opening up a door you don't want to mess with, man, personally. I feel what you're saying about paying these coaches, right? But somebody's got to coach them. It's not like high school where you don't get paid to coach. You go to class, be a teacher, and then you go out and offer your time because you love the sport or you love the kids. Like this is a full-time job. It's a commitment. There's no sleep, right? These coaches live at these stadiums. There's a lot that factors in. So you got to pay somebody. The school's got to make money for the upkeep. I don't know, man. It's going to always be this conversation, right? Until it happens and until we learn from it.
We'll see. Here's where the money goes for if you're Notre Dame. It goes to paying smaller schools just to have them lose. Cincinnati and Marshall are thriving right now.
UNLV goes there and gets beat by 88 points, man. Like, come on here. What's going on?
Don't worry. See, now what UNLV has to do is they just have to take a long-term deal from Notre Dame, play them in 2029. That'll be the program that'll be the game to get the program back on track. Or
listen, isn't what Deion Sanders doing over there in Jackson State a beautiful thing? Like, imagine we get that over here at UNLV being at Allegiant Stadium, and that's where they're playing now. Like, we can actually turn this school into a powerhouse with the right person coming in.
Absolutely. And that's the thing when it comes to college sports. You bring in the right person, you bring in the right name. Brian Kelly goes all the way to LSU. Look what he's doing over there. He's screwing up that whole college program.
And tell me that, like, that couldn't happen that quick. Like, that quick in a tenure where LSU was a massive powerhouse in college football for a long time. Like, you can fall off the map that fast. It really is.
Yeah, they bring in a coach that they think is going to be better than the coach that brought him a national championship, and he looks like he's a complete bust. And look what's going on in Notre Dame over there right now. I mean, they bring in a guy taking over there, and a guy can't win a ball game close to 10 or 12 points from the score from what they had last year. They're horrible. These two teams, LSU, they might as well flip-flop the coaches. And obviously Brian Kelly over there was coaching. So
backtrack to your earlier point.
Absolutely.
The cool thing about Notre Dame is they graduate like 95% of their football players.
Yes, they do.
Which I think is pretty impressive.
Oh, 100%.